Okay, so anyone else out there have like a CPD system that's basically just like a chaotic mountain of papers threatening to fall over?
Oh, yeah.
You know, certificates stuffed in drawers, random notes like on napkins, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then the thought of actually organizing it all into a portfolio.
Oh, yeah.
It's enough to make me want to hide under my desk.
It's a struggle. We hear a lot, people kind of have this picture of like these perfect, pristine portfolios, but the reality is often far messier.
And it's not just about the mess, right? It's like this underlying anxiety about like actually needing that portfolio someday, you know?
Yeah.
Like what if I get audited and I'm like scrambling to find a certificate from like 3 years ago?
Exactly. It's this looming dread that can make CPD feel like a burden rather than a benefit. But what if I told you there's a way to ditch the stress and actually make CPD portfolio building work for you?
Okay, you got my attention. Tell me more.
Well, that's what we're diving into today. It's got a stack of intel on CPDme, a platform that claims to take the pain out of portfolio building. We're talking excerpts from their website, testimonials from actual users, even a peek into their community support forum, plus we'll dissect a couple of their how-to videos for some insider tips.
Perfect. So before we get into the nitty-gritty of CPD, let's take a step back and make sure we're all on the same page. What exactly is CPD, and why should we even care about recording it?
Great point. CPD, or continuing professional development, goes way beyond just attending, those mandatory courses.
Right.
It's any activity that helps you grow professionally. It could be reading a relevant journal article or shadowing a colleague or even just having a thought-provoking conversation about a challenging case.
So it's about constantly leveling up your skills and knowledge, not just like ticking boxes.
Exactly. And the beauty of recording your CPD is that it helps you see your own growth over time. It's like a map of your professional journey, showcasing your commitment to your field and highlighting your strengths.
Okay, that makes sense. But I'm not going to lie, I still have that like shoebox of doom lurking in the corner. Why is it so hard to actually stay on top of recording CPD?
You're not alone. Research shows that the average person spends a ridiculous 39 hours creating a CPD portfolio from scratch.
39 hours. I'd rather run a marathon backwards seriously, though, between work life and, maybe squeezing in a nap here and there. Who has that kind of time?
Right. Time is the biggest barrier for most people, but it's not just that there's the disorganization, the confusion over formatting, the sheer dread of staring at a blank page.
Okay, I'm starting to sweat just thinking about it. Which brings us to CPDme. They claim to be the digital solution to our CPD nightmares, but do they actually live up to the hype?
That's what we're here to find out. Let's start by looking at how CPDme tackles those barriers we just talked about.
Sounds good. Lead the way. Okay, so CPDme promises to like save us time and, make portfolio building less painful.
Yeah.
But how exactly does it work? Is it like a superpowered spreadsheet or something?
It's way more intuitive than a spreadsheet. Imagine like a platform designed specifically for CPD with features that automate all those like tedious tasks we hate.
Okay, now you're speaking my language. Give me some examples.
Well, let's talk about the quick entry form. You know how we were just complaining about time being a major barrier?
Oh, yeah.
With CPDme, you can log an entry in like under a minute right from your phone, just a few clicks, and boom, you're done.
So no more excuses about not having time to record CPD.
Exactly. And if even typing on your phone feels like too much effort, they have a dictation option. You can literally talk to the app, and it'll transcribe your CPD entry.
Hold on. I could dictate my CPD while I'm like walking the dog?
Yeah.
That's some serious next level convenience.
And get this, if you attend like one of their webinars, the system automatically generates a certificate and adds it to your portfolio.
What?
No more chasing down organizers or digging through your inbox for that confirmation email.
Wait, so it does all the paperwork for me. Okay, I'm starting to see the light here, but what about staying organized? My CPD tends to be like a jumbled mess of different activities, from courses to conferences to random articles I read online.
CPDme have you covered. They have customizable tags, so you can categorize each entry based on the topic, skill, or even like the governing body standard it relates to.
Okay, so if I'm preparing for an audit by the HCPC,
Right.
That's the Health and Care Professions Council, by the way, for any listeners who aren't familiar.
Right.
I can just filter by the relevant tag and boom, I've got all the evidence I need.
Exactly. It takes the guesswork out of portfolio building, and there's this feature called a CPD health check, which is like having a virtual assistant who keeps tabs on your progress.
Okay.
It scans your entries and lets you know if there are any gaps in your CPD or like incomplete entries.
Wait, so it tells me if I'm slacking off. My inner procrastinator is terrified.
That's the point. It's a little nudge to keep you on track and ensure you're meeting any mandatory requirements. Plus, it gives you like a completion percentage for each entry so you can see how close you are to having a fully fleshed out portfolio.
Okay, I'm definitely starting to see how CPD could be like a game changer, But is it just for individuals, or can organizations use it too? I'm picturing some serious benefits for teams.
They have a whole separate platform called CPD Teams, specifically designed for organizations from small teams to large corporations. And it's not just a scaled-up version of the individual platform. It has a bunch of features tailored to the needs of organizations.
Like what? Tell me more.
Well, imagine this. You're a manager, and you have a team of people whose CPD you're responsible for.
Right.
With CPD Teams, you get this awesome centralized dashboard where you can see everyone's CPD progress in one place.
So no more chasing people down for updates or trying to decipher messy spreadsheets.
Exactly. You can see who's on track, who might need a little nudge, and if anyone's falling behind on mandatory requirements. Plus, you can set up intelligent reminders so team members get automatic alerts when they need to complete specific CPD activities.
Say goodbye to those last-minute scrambles to meet deadlines. But what about reporting? Organizations often need to track and analyze CPD data for things like audits or accreditation.
CPD Teams has you covered. They offer customizable reports that can be tailored to your organization's specific needs. You can slice and dice the data in any way you want to extract meaningful insights.
It's like having a CPD data analyst at your fingertips. You can track trends, identify areas for improvement, and even demonstrate the impact of CPD on team performance.
Exactly. And if you need any help navigating the platform or have questions about how to customize it for your organization's needs, they offer ongoing support, including access to their customer support teams and even a dedicated account manager for consultation and training.
Okay, I'm seriously impressed. It sounds like CPDme and CPD teams have thought of everything, but you know me, I'm always a little skeptical what are actual users saying about the platform.
Well, that's what's so interesting. The testimonials on their website are overwhelmingly positive. People from all sorts of professions, from healthcare practitioners to accountants to emergency responders, are raving about how CPDme has changed their approach to CPD.
But it's one thing to see glowing testimonials on a website, right? Is there any way to get like a more unfiltered view of what people are saying?
That's why we peeked into their community support forum. And honestly, even there, the sentiment is largely positive. People are sharing tips, troubleshooting problems, and generally supporting each other. It feels like a genuine community of professionals who are excited about CPD and eager to help each other succeed.
Okay, that's really encouraging to hear. It's not just a faceless software company. There's like a real human element to it. But tell me, what are some of the specific things people are praising?
One thing that comes up a lot is the time-saving aspect. People are blown away by how quickly they can record CPD entries and generate portfolios. They're also loving the customizable tags in the CPD health check feature, saying it helps them stay organized and motivated.
So it's actually helping people to like develop better CPD habits.
Exactly, and healthcare professionals are especially excited about the fact that CPDme automatically formats their portfolio in the correct format for HCPC audits. No more formatting headaches or last-minute panics about getting the details right.
That's a huge relief for anyone who's ever faced like the dreaded HCPC audit. But I'm curious about the founder, Andrew Ormerod. We mentioned earlier that he's a paramedic. What's his story and what insights does he offer?
His story is actually quite inspiring. He developed CPDme based on his own struggles with CPD recording as a paramedic. He was frustrated with the time-consuming and inefficient process, and he knew there had to be a better way.
So he's not just some tech bro who saw like a market opportunity.
Right.
He's someone who's actually been in the trenches wrestling with those CPD challenges firsthand.
Exactly. And in one of his videos, he talks about how he designed CPDme to address those pain points head on. He stresses the importance of capturing CPD evidence regularly, even if it's just a pick note or a voice memo. And he encourages users to map their CPD to governing body standards early on in their careers.
That mapping tip sounds interesting. Can you elaborate on that?
Sure, it's basically about connecting your CPD activities to the specific standards set by your governing body or professional organization. So, for example, if you're a healthcare professional, you would look at the HCPC standards and identify which CPD activities align with each standard.
Okay, I can see how that would be helpful for demonstrating compliance during an audit, but honestly, it sounds a bit overwhelming. Is it really that easy to do within CPD?
That's the beauty of it. CPDA makes it incredibly simple. Imagine a drag-and-drop system where you can easily link your CPD entries to the relevant standards. It takes the guesswork out of it and ensures that you're always audit-ready.
So no more frantically searching for evidence to support your claims. That's a huge weight off my shoulders.
Exactly. And Andrew also emphasizes the value of viewing mentoring as a two-way street. He talks about how mentoring others can actually be an opportunity for your own CPD reflection and growth.
That's a really interesting perspective. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that mentoring is all about giving, but there's so much to be learned from the experience itself.
Right. Think about it when you're mentoring someone, you're forced to reflect on your own practices, your knowledge, and your approach to problem solving. CPDme actually helps you log this kind of reflection as part of your overall CPD portfolio.
Okay, that's pretty clever. CPD's full of surprises. But what about the future? Are there any exciting new features on the horizon?
Absolutely. Their community forum gives us a sneak peek into their development roadmap. One upcoming feature that caught my eye is the ability to share a CPD diary entry with someone outside the platform for feedback.
Interesting. So you could get feedback on your CPD from like a mentor supervisor or even a colleague in another organization.
Exactly. It's a great way to get constructive feedback, identify blind spots, and ensure that your CPD is aligned with your professional goals. They're also working on an updated clinical skills log, which will be especially valuable for healthcare professionals.
Wait, a clinical skills log. Tell me more.
They even mentioned an airway log, which is a specific tool used by some healthcare practitioners to track their skills and experience in managing airways. Imagine having a centralized digital record of all your clinical skills procedures performed and even a detailed airway log.
Wow, that's amazing. It's like they're constantly innovating and adding new features based on the feedback and needs of their users. But let's shift gears for a moment and delve into some of the specific case studies highlighted on the CPD team's website. They showcase how organizations from various industries have successfully implemented CPD teams to manage their team's professional development.
These case studies are like real-world examples of how CPD teams can be customized and tailored to meet the unique needs of different organizations. One compelling case study is from Bristow Search and Rescue, a global organization with hundreds of team members scattered across 20 air bases worldwide.
Talk about a logistical challenge. Managing the CPD of a team that dispersed must be a nightmare.
Right, and they were struggling to keep track of individual CPD records and professional development activities, but with CPD teams, they were able to bring their fragmented workforce together under one centralized learning and development solution.
It's like they created a virtual CPD headquarters for their entire team, no matter where they're located.
And they highlight how the mobile app and web dashboard gave each team member control over their personal CPD journey while providing administrators with seamless oversight to ensure alignment with training requirements.
So it's a win-win for both individual team members and the organization as a whole.
Another interesting case study is from British Airways Pensions. They had a remote workforce operating over several sites and needed a way to manage and track CPD for a specific event.
So they needed a system that could handle a large-scale, centralized CPD initiative.
Exactly. And CPD teams provided them with a customized dashboard that included staff oversight and the ability to generate digital evidence that pre-populated staff member CPD records.
That's brilliant. It streamlines the process and eliminates the need for manual data entry.
And it ensures consistency and accuracy in CPD recording across the entire team. Now let's look at a case study from a completely different sector: education. The University of Limerick faced the challenge of tracking CPD for students undertaking practical skills training and work placements.
The joys of paperwork. I could only imagine how much time and effort they were spending on manual tracking and reporting.
Right, and their previous system, which relied on paper forms, was leading to lost records and a mountain of paperwork for both students and course leaders. But with CPD teams, they were able to transition to a flexible, accessible platform that allowed students to easily log CPD activities on the go.
So students could focus on their learning experiences instead of getting bogged down in administrative tasks.
Exactly. And lecturers gained valuable insights into student progress through centralized dashboards, which helped them to identify any areas where students might need additional support.
It's a perfect example of how CPD teams can be adapted and implemented in different educational settings to enhance the learning experience for both students and educators.
And it highlights how a digital platform can streamline processes, improve accuracy, and ultimately save valuable time and resources.
Now let's jump back to the healthcare sector. The East Midlands Ambulance Service NHS Trust needed a simple solution for their ambulance commanders to log and maintain accurate records of their resilient service training and CPD.
And they were looking for a solution that was accessible on the move, given the nature of their work.
So a mobile app was essential for them to effectively manage their CPD.
Right, and CPD Team was created a web and mobile app-based solution that allowed ambulance commanders to record their mandatory training, which was required by their governing organizations. They were also able to map their commander development to National Ambulance Resilience Unit standards, ensuring compliance and professional growth.
It's amazing how CPD teams could be customized to align with specific professional standards and regulatory requirements.
and it highlights how a digital platform can empower individuals to take ownership of their professional development by providing organizations with the tools they need to monitor progress, ensure compliance, and support their team's growth.
Okay, I'm starting to see a pattern here. CPD Teams is like a chameleon, adapting to the unique needs of each organization. But before we get too carried away with the bells and whistles, let's talk about the cost. Is CPD Teams realistically affordable for organizations of all sizes? Or is it mainly for those big corporations with deep pockets?
That's a question I had too, but it turns out they have a very flexible pricing structure. It's tiered based on the number of users, so small businesses and nonprofits aren't priced out.
So the more users you have, the more it costs, but they likely have volume discounts, right?
Exactly. Plus, they offer different payment options like monthly or annual subscriptions, so organizations can choose what works best for their budget. And here's the best part. They offer a free trial, so you can take CPD Teams for a test drive before committing.
That's reassuring. It shows they're confident in their product. But even beyond like the hard numbers, what are some of the less tangible benefits organizations have seen after implementing CPD Teams?
Well, one thing that keeps popping up is the impact on organizational culture by making CPD easy and accessible. CPD Teams helps create a more learning-centric environment.
So it's not just about ticking boxes, it's about fostering a genuine love of learning within the organization.
Exactly. And that can lead to all sorts of positive ripple effects like better communication, increased collaboration, and even more innovation.
Okay, I'm on board with the culture shift. What else are we seeing?
Employee retention is another big one. When organizations invest in their employees' development, those employees feel valued and are more likely to stick around.
So it's not just like a warm and fuzzy benefit. It actually makes good business sense.
Absolutely. And don't underestimate the reputational boost. When potential employees see that you prioritize CPD, they're more likely to be attracted to your organization.
So it's a win-win-win, better culture, happier employees, and a stronger reputation. But even with a smooth implementation process, are there any challenges organizations should be prepared for?
Well, like with any change, there can be some resistance. At first, people are creatures of habit, and switching to a new system can be intimidating.
So how can organizations mitigate that resistance?
The key is clear communication and involving everyone from the start. Explain why you're making the switch, what the benefits are, and make sure everyone feels heard. And of course, proper training is essential. Don't just throw the platform at people and expect them to figure it out.
That makes sense. What are some other potential bumps in the road?
Integrating CPD Teams with existing systems can sometimes be a challenge, especially if an organization has a complex IT infrastructure.
But you said earlier that CPD Teams has like a tech team specifically for that, right?
They do, and they're good at what they do. They've integrated with all sorts of systems, plus they have a well-documented API, which makes life easier for organizations with their own IT folks.
Okay, so they've got the technical side covered, but what about user adoption? How do you get people to actually use the platform once it's up and running?
That goes back to communication and training. Make sure people understand how to use CPD Teams, and more importantly, why it's beneficial for them. Highlight the time-saving features, the ease of tracking progress, the peace of mind that comes with being audit-ready.
So it's about selling the benefits and making it clear that CPD Teams isn't just another administrative burden.
Exactly, and don't forget the power of positive reinforcement. Celebrate successes, recognize individuals who are using the platform effectively, and create a buzz around CPD Teams within the organization.
Okay, I'm seeing the light here, but let's shift gears for a moment and talk about the future. What's next for CPDme and CPD Teams? Are they just going to sit back and relax now that they've created this amazing platform? Or are they planning to blow our minds even further?
From what we've seen on their website and in their community forum, it's clear that CPDme is nowhere near done innovating. They're constantly gathering feedback and looking for ways to make the platform even better.
So they're not just resting on their laurels.
Definitely not. One area they're focusing on is artificial intelligence. Imagine AI that can personalize the CPD experience, suggest relevant learning activities based on your goals, and even automate even more of the administrative tasks.
Okay, that's seriously cool. AI that acts as your personal CPD assistant. Sign me up. What else is in the pipeline?
They're also putting a lot of effort into mobile optimization. They want the CPD app to be so intuitive and user-friendly that you can manage your entire CPD journey from your phone no matter where you are.
So I can literally log a CPD entry while I'm waiting in line for coffee. That's the dream.
Exactly, and they're exploring ways to integrate with other platforms like learning management systems, professional networking sites, and even social media.
So CPDme could become like the central hub for all things professional development. That's a pretty bold vision.
It is, but from what we've seen, CPDme isn't afraid to be ambitious. Their long-term goal is to become the global leader in CPD management, empowering individuals and organizations worldwide to embrace continuous learning.
Okay, I'm officially impressed, but let's zoom out for a moment and think about the bigger picture. How do you see platforms like CPD and CPD teams shaping the future of professional development?
I think they're going to play a huge role in changing the way we think about CPD. It's no longer going to be seen as a chore or a box-ticking exercise with platforms like CPD. It can become a genuinely enjoyable and rewarding part of our professional lives.
So it's about shifting from like a compliance mindset to a growth mindset.
Exactly. And for organizations, it's about moving from a reactive approach to a proactive one, where CPD is seen as a strategic investment in their employees' growth and ultimately in the success of the organization itself.
I love that it's about creating a culture where learning is celebrated, not just tolerated.
And it's about empowering individuals to take control of their own professional journeys, to identify their goals, and to seek out learning opportunities that align with those goals.
It sounds like CPDme and CPD teams are truly revolutionizing the CPD landscape, but I'm curious, what are actual users saying about the user experience? Is it as smooth and intuitive as it seems? It's pretty amazing how like CPDme works for so many different people.
Yeah.
Like we've talked about healthcare professionals, but they have, everyone from accountants, architects to zookeepers using this platform.
It's true. It's not often you see like a tool that can cater to such a wide range of professions and industries. They even have like a whole section on their website dedicated to showcasing how different organizations are using CPD teams.
Right. Remember that case study about the air ambulance service in New Zealand? They were using CPD teams to track the training and competency of their paramedics and pilots, even their dispatch team.
It's a great example of how CPD teams can be adapted to even like the most unique and specialized fields, and they've got testimonials from universities and charities and tech startups. It's really impressive.
It's almost like they've cracked the code of creating a truly universal CPD platform. But beyond the tech itself, one thing that really stood out to me was like the community aspect. We talked about the community forum, but it's more than just a place to ask technical questions, right?
Absolutely. It's a space where people can connect and share ideas and support each other on their CPD journeys. I saw people posting about their successes and asking for advice on tricky situations and even just celebrating each other's achievements.
So it's like a virtual water cooler for CPD enthusiasts.
Exactly. And that sense of community can be incredibly powerful, especially for people who are new to CPD or who might feel overwhelmed by the whole process.
It's like having like a built-in support system right there in your pocket.
And what's really cool is that the CPDme team is very active in the forum. They're answering questions and offering guidance and even using the feedback to improve the platform.
It's like they're not just developers hiding behind a screen, they're real people who are passionate about CPD and want to see their users succeed.
That level of engagement is really encouraging. It shows they're committed to building a platform that's truly user-centered.
Okay, so we've established that CPDme is user-friendly and adaptable and has a fantastic community, but there's one more thing we need to talk about, and it's a big one: data privacy.
You're right. With all this sensitive information being stored digitally, people want to know that their data is safe and secure.
Exactly. So let's dive into that. What kind of security measures does CPDme have in place to protect user data?
Well, they have a whole section on their website dedicated to data security and privacy, which is a good sign. They're very transparent about the steps they take to protect user information.
Okay, that's reassuring, but what are the specifics? Give me the details.
For starters, they use 256-bit encryption, which is essentially the gold standard for data security. It means your data is scrambled in a way that makes it virtually impossible to decipher without the correct key.
So even if someone managed to hack into their system, they wouldn't be able to access my CPD secrets.
Exactly. They also use top-tier security software that constantly monitors for any suspicious activity like unauthorized login attempts or unusual data access patterns.
So they're actively trying to prevent any breaches.
Absolutely. And they store their data on servers that are known for their security and reliability. It's like having your CPD information stored in a digital Fort Knox.
Okay, I'm starting to feel a lot better about the whole data privacy thing, but let's shift gears for a moment and talk about one of the upcoming features that I'm really excited about: the external feedback option.
Yes, this is a game changer. Imagine being able to share a draft of your CPD entry with a mentor or supervisor or even a colleague in another organization and get their feedback.
It's like having a personal CPD coach who can help you identify areas for improvement and ensure your entries are top-notch.
Exactly. And it can also help you tailor your CPD to specific job applications or promotion opportunities. You can get feedback on how to best showcase your skills and experience.
So it's not just about compliance, it's about strategically using your CPD to advance your career.
Right. And the feedback feature can also help to foster a more collaborative approach to CPD. It encourages dialogue and knowledge sharing and a culture of continuous improvement.
Okay, I'm sold. And healthcare listeners, don't forget about the updated clinical skills log, which includes that awesome airway log that's going to be a huge asset for demonstrating competency and tracking those specialized skills.
It's a great example of how CPD is constantly evolving and responding to the needs of its users.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today. We've seen how CPD is making CPD easier and more efficient and even more enjoyable. But what's the next step? How can listeners actually start using this platform to enhance their own professional development?
The best place to start is their website. They have tons of information about the different membership packages and features and benefits. They even have a blog with helpful articles and tips on all things CPD.
And don't forget those how-to videos on their YouTube channel. Those are a lifesaver.
Absolutely. Watching those videos can really demystify the platform and give you a clear understanding of how to use it effectively.
And if you're still not sure, why not sign up for a free basic account? You can try out the core features and explore the platform and see if it's a good fit for you.
And if you're part of an organization, reach out to the CPD Teams team for a consultation. They can walk you through the platform and answer your questions and help you figure out how to best implement CPD Teams within your organization.
So there you have it, folks, our deep dive into CPDme and CPD Teams. It's a platform that's changing the game of professional development, making it more accessible and more engaging and more impactful. It's time to ditch that shoebox and embrace the power of technology and take control of your CPD journey until